Please welcome to the stage for TEDx Cooma, with a Masters in English Literature, majoring in Australian landscape, is Professor James Mcgufficke, here to talk to you about belonging.
Thank you, everybody. As humans, we crave a sense of belonging and self-worth. The connections we have with the environment in which we call our own affects our self-worth significantly. Without somewhere to belong, our identity is stripped away from us. The famous sociologist Brené Brown said, "A deep sense of belonging is an irreplaceable need for all people." Our self-worth and sense of belonging are intertwined. As humans, we are biologically, psychologically, physically, and spiritually wired to seek belonging. When this basic need is not met, we do not function as we are meant to. We become lost, we become fearful, we break, we suffer. Personally, I could not agree with this statement more. I know myself, when I am placed in a new environment or somewhere I do not belong, I become fearful of the unknown. This idea of our land affecting us on such a deep level is clearly displayed and explored in the films Charlie's Country and The Castle. Both films have drastically different tones in themes of connection to place and in establishing a sense of belonging. The film Charlie's Country follows Charlie, a broken Aboriginal man, as he tries to find purpose and belonging in the world. The different landscapes in the film reflect and affect Charlie's sense of self-worth and belonging. Although this movie has little dialogue, we can see Charlie's distress and hatred for the world, as it is ever-changing and becoming more modern. Throughout the movie, especially in the first act, which is set in a remote Aboriginal community in Arnhem Land, the audience sees a cultural clash between traditional Aboriginal living and modern white ideologies. Charlie is a black man expected to function and belong in a white man's world. Charlie fails to fit in. He questions the society he lives in, saying to the white police officer, Luke, whom arrests him later in the film, "You white fellas came here and built houses, but didn't give me a house or a job." Charlie tries to fit in by helping police officers find drug dealers, with the hope of reward, but Charlie gets screwed over. Charlie's traditional hunting spear is taken off him only days later. When this happens, he is at an extremely low point. The place he grew up in, where he should belong, feels alien to him. He decides to go bush, saying, "I don't belong in a white man's world, I need to go bush." During Charlie's time in the bush, he reflects on when he performed at the opening of the Sydney Opera House in front of the Queen. Charlie reflects on this because he is at his lowest point, both physically and mentally, having nowhere to call home, feeling no sense of self-worth, muttering to himself, "I danced for the Queen at the Sydney Opera House." The photo and this quote represent a pivotal moment in Charlie's life. During the dance, he truly belonged in the country he called home. His self-worth was at its highest because he represented a whole culture of people. There was no cultural divide which he feels in his hometown now. Too much has changed in Charlie's life since then. Charlie gets placed in Darwin Hospital due to his poor medical condition. Being referred to as foreign by a doctor is only another example of Charlie not belonging in this changing world. After leaving the hospital, Charlie joins a group of alcoholic, homeless Aboriginals. Charlie uses the alcohol to numb his feelings, as during this part of the film, he is lost, having nowhere to belong. The police arrest Charlie for illegally buying alcohol for the group. Charlie saw his arrest as unjust because the park is his people's land and therefore he has a right to be there. In prison, Charlie's sense of belonging and self-worth is at its lowest. He feels no one cares about him and that he is now truly a burden to society. While in prison, Charlie gets a visit from his close friend, Black Pete, who tells him that he is a free and prospering Aboriginal man in their hometown. After being told this, Charlie's outlook on life changes. He realises that the world is ever changing and he needs to adapt, find somewhere to belong with people who care about him. So he returns to his hometown, gaining self-worth and belonging through teaching Aboriginal children traditional dances. Unlike Charlie's Country, which is about someone searching for somewhere to belong, The Castle is about the significance our home and in turn landscape has on our sense of belonging, especially when it is being threatened. In the film, the Melbourne airport is expanding and needs to build on the land where Daryl's home is. Daryl, a working class man with a family, cannot comprehend this happening as it goes against core Australian beliefs of acceptance and belonging. This is perfectly summed up when Daryl says, "Yeah, well, where's the agreement with Dale Kerrigan, 3 Highview Crescent, Cooler Road, about building this airport extension?" Daryl, along with his neighbours, launch a court case, which they definitively lose. Daryl describes this as a David versus Goliath story. Like Charlie's Country, there is a cultural clash, not between races, but between hard-working values of the working class, in which Daryl represents, and the establishment, which has values based on economic expansion. Daryl represents the individual just trying to survive. His sense of belonging is heavily linked with the house because of the memories that were created there. When they lose the first legal battle, Daryl's sense of self-worth withers away. Dale, his son, notices this, saying, "Ever since we lost the court case, Dad's been down. I've never seen him like this. He won't even compliment Mum for her cooking." Daryl's identity as a working class man who loves his family is stripped away when he loses the house because it represents and shows all his hard work. Daryl feels he has let his family down as a husband and a father, being unable to provide the basic necessities, making his self-worth yet again extremely low. Bonnie Doon, their holiday house, represents another place where Daryl belongs because he built it. Daryl's tight-knit family unit give him a strong sense of self-worth and belonging. Throughout the movie, which is challenged by the potential loss of their house, this is perfectly summed up in the final scene of the movie when Daryl wins back the house. Dr. Hummel, Daryl's new lawyer, says to the judge, "This house is their land. It holds their memories. Their stories have been told here. Their house is where Daryl built his family, which supports this country that's got to stop stealing people's land." But at the end of the movie, Daryl realises he does not need his home to feel a sense of belonging and self-worth. His family make him feel that. 3 Highview Crescent, Coolaroo is nothing but a place. Sure, Bonnie Doon and his house are physical things he cherishes, but only because they represent his core ideologies and values, which are quintessentially Australian. His family are the product of these things and what make him want to live in the home that he has fought for. Both films encapsulate and clearly represent the quote by Brené Brown. Charlie is broken when he chooses not to conform to a new, ever-changing world, and therefore not belonging anywhere, which emotionally and psychologically destroys him. The landscape is key in this film, as it pushes the story forward, affecting Charlie's sense of belonging and purpose, with the cultural clash fueling Charlie's anger towards the world. The Castle has a similar cultural clash between individual Australian values and the establishment. The film centres around what one deems as their land and how this affects them personally. When it differs from Charlie's Country is that from the start of the movie, Daryl belongs. and his challenge is not seeking self-worth and belonging, but rather to keep the land on which his values and sense of belonging were fundamentally established. Both films end on a similar message, which is, although the landscape and our environment affect us and our actions, what truly makes us belong and gives us self-worth as humans is the people who we share that land with, be it Charlie with the Aboriginal children whom he is teaching to dance, or Daryl with his family who love and support him. What I want you to take away from this TED Talk is that belonging is not a physical place. It is an emotional, psychological, and spiritual destination, which is embodied through the people we love. Thank you for listening.